Hi there, it's Chris Hamilton here with Sales Tip a Day, www.salestipaday.com. And today is the second part of my using the power of LinkedIn to generate better qualified sales opportunities. This is part two, and I'm glad that you've gone through part one and that you've made it to part two. So today, what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to show you a multitude of tips that you can use to get LinkedIn profile views. Get your LinkedIn profile viewed up to 15 times greater with better qualified prospects. I'm also going to show you a way to find 400% more sales opportunities from leads that close at 2 times the norm. The other one I'm going to show you is an underutilized LinkedIn strategy that will help you on the path to generate a steady stream of qualified sales leads. And last but not least, I'm going to show you 5 key LinkedIn search tactics that are going to help you find or identify better qualified sales prospects. I'll tell you what, as soon as I figured out these 5 key LinkedIn search tactics, it was like night and day for me on LinkedIn. I wish I had learned it way sooner. But this is absolutely, it's going to be killer. And I think by the time this segment, this part 2 is done, you're going to be well on your way to generating way more better qualified sales leads, obviously. So why listen to me? So once again, if you watch the first episode here, or the first part, then what you're going to understand is that I like to walk the walk. I don't talk the talk, I walk the walk. I own a sales and marketing training company. I also do consulting for people, but I also own a software company, and my software company has an accounts payable software solution. And literally back in March, kind of late March, I started marketing it. And by the time this recording comes out, so this is March 2016, it's kind of mid-August 2016. But I have a snapshot of my pipeline about 3 months after we started, kind of starting to market the company. And I was able to put almost $1.8 million worth of qualified opportunities into our pipeline that, I feel we're going to get about a 50% close rate on this. And in fact, that pipeline number is closer to about 2.3 million right now. And the other thing it doesn't include is a whole bunch of smaller opportunities that we're working on that we just have not put into this pipeline right now. But all these opportunities were generated because of me. Done part-time. And when I say part-time, it's literally less than 8 hours a week. And in fact, it was probably done in about 4 hours a week. And these opportunities are going to close, and this is going to make our company probably $1 million a year in revenue just in 3 months doing this part-time. It's crazy how successful this was coming out the door. And if you watch the last one, I said, hey, does it work? The stuff that I'm going to teach you, and absolutely it does work. So this snapshot on the right hand or the left-hand side here is my activity with a company that I worked for about 1 year and 3 quarters. It's this snapshot out of Salesforce comparing myself against the 240 salespeople that they had in this company. And that's my line, the big, huge, long line up there. And that was activities such as sending out emails, booking meetings, booking demos, and phone calls. And just as a side note here, sending out emails. So a lot of the people that I worked with would leverage would just use Outlook to send emails out. I actually leveraged a tremendous little program if you're in sales that you should look at called Contactually, so contactually.com, which allowed me to send out bulk emails, keep in touch with people, and nurture leads. The other one I used was MailChimp to send out information to roughly 700 people on a weekly basis on the market space that I played into. So anyways, long story short, does this work? Yeah, it does. I ended up booking 10 times more meetings, and a lot of those meetings had 2 or 3 people in it. So this number of, that you see, this line that's up here, is probably actually should be larger, because I never counted more than one person in a meeting, but I'd have 2 or 3 people in about 50% of the meetings I had. So I booked way more meetings than the people that I was. So think about it this way. If I could show you a process that allows you to book 10 times more meetings, wouldn't you want to look at this sort of stuff? I ended up doing 30 times more online demos. And if you're not doing online demos, I highly recommend creating some form of an educational piece that you could do on a webinar, or doing online demos or creating some sort of mechanism that you can do stuff online and invite people in to educate them, because it works tremendously well. I've been able to get so many clients by doing stuff like that. You know what? And the thing is, I did all of this in about a quarter of the time of the other reps. And the reason I say I did it sort of half the time of the other reps is because the fact is I was booking so many meetings, I had to go to these meetings, right? I was doing all these demos. So I didn't have the capacity to be working on this at the same rate that the other people were. So I was hyper effective and way more productive than my counterparts. And as a side note, as I said, if you watch the last one, the space I was playing in was the mergers and acquisitions space in Western Canada, which is predominantly ruled by mining out of Vancouver and by oil and gas in Western Canada, so Calgary, namely, more or less. And those were my two primary markets. Both those industries, because of what's happened in oil and gas and also mining, especially in Canada, is both of them were off almost 92% over the period of time that I was there. Yet I was able to hold the revenue in these accounts in an area or in a time frame when my numbers should have been off over 90%. And I attribute it to the stuff that I'm going to teach you today to be way more effective. So how did I do this? As I said before, I leveraged the power of LinkedIn, world's largest business network online, with the power of referrals, and I ended up with huge success. Now, I'm just going to talk about this for a second. LinkedIn, I sent out an email that quite a few people responded. Well, I had well over 200 responses on it with a whole bunch of questions. I asked people specific questions about LinkedIn, and specifically, what's your number one struggle with LinkedIn, and what's your number one struggle using LinkedIn for generating sales leads? And I got a ton of people come back saying, I don't see the value in LinkedIn. I absolutely disagree with that. It's because you don't know how to leverage LinkedIn, and hopefully I'll show you how to do this. But I'll tell you what, is with the power of referrals will get you in the door faster. You close business at double the rate, and it's typically in about 0.25% of the time, and you get more revenue. So how do you figure out how to get in the door into places where you can't get in? Tell you what, LinkedIn, it's phenomenal. I can see who people that I'm connected to are connected to and leverage that connection to get in the door. It's crazy. So before I go there though, I want to say, if you're going to start using LinkedIn, if you're going to start reaching out for referrals, if you're going to start, doing this stuff, you need to put your best foot forward, and you need to be able to beat your competition. So it's one of those things where you need to take a look at what you're doing. So I've got 11 profile tactics that you can use that'll help you beat out your competition. Now, I'll tell you one. First thing you need to look at is I've gone through thousands of LinkedIn profiles. The next few slides that I'm going to show you were specifically geared towards financial audience. So stockbrokers, brokers, insurance people, stuff like that. And the reason being is because I work with a lot of companies like that. But it's not only this. You can look at any specific industry and take a look at people's profiles, and you'll see these 11 things. So these are the 11 things that I have spotted on people's profiles that are very quick fixes, which are going to generate a huge amount of profile views for you. So once again, same thing. If you're reaching out to people, if people are going to come back and take a look at your profile, you better be putting your best foot forward so that you can beat your competition. So the first problem that I see is what I call the headline. So if you look in here, I remove pictures, I remove people's names and stuff so that I protect the stupid, for lack of a better word. But right below the top square or rectangular box, it says financial advisor at CIBC. That's your headline. What LinkedIn does is it takes your most current job title and pulls it up into your headline. That is the worst thing you do. Who cares if you're a financial advisor at CIBC? CIBC is a bank in Canada here, right? Who cares? You should be explaining who you serve, what results you get, and have a strong call to action in there. And you can change these on your profile quite easily just by going into edit profile on LinkedIn and clicking on these little areas, and you can fix this sort of stuff. Now, just in this case, I'll show you, for example, is like, if I was this person, I'd be like, who's my target audience? Well, let's say he's business owners, right? helping business owners save more of their income with smart investments. Contact me or connect with me for more information. So, literally what you're saying to someone is, hey, you know what? Here's the market I serve. Here's what I do. And here's how you get a hold of me. And here's what you get going with me. Change your headline. Make it beneficial to the market that you work on. Premium. Problem number 2, premium accounts. So do you know LinkedIn, only 18% of people have a premium account on LinkedIn. Mind-blowing to me is that, it literally costs you, I'm up in Canada, it costs me $50 a month Canadian to get a premium account. And I more than make that money up from leveraging LinkedIn. So invest in yourself, get a premium account. So in this case, the financial industry in Western Canada, in Calgary, where this was originally aimed at, was, there's only 16% of LinkedIn members have a premium account. Yet there's like almost 23,000 people in Calgary that are competing in this market space. There are huge gains to be had with this, and I'll show you what they are. Literally, a premium account, believe it or not, gets up to 15 times more views than someone who doesn't have a premium account. My take on this one is that LinkedIn gives preferential treatment to people who are who have a premium account. The other thing too, actually, just on the premium account, is people who have a premium account probably spend more time on LinkedIn and beef up their profiles as well. The other things with a premium account, you get way more search options, so you're going to be able to find way more opportunities or people to be going after. And I'll get into that a little later in this second segment of this course, and you'll see what I mean when I start talking about this. You're going to get way better search results because you have more search options that are available to you. It's going to bring more opportunities towards you, and I'll show you that in a little bit as well. And there's a way to set up your profile so that you can have prospects reach out to you and connect with you, and you can make it a lot easier. Now, people that have a free account, they can't do that. Only people with a premium account can. And the other thing too is that LinkedIn will give you the ability to send you more sales leads through having a premium account than not having a premium account or having a free account. Each one of these I'll get into more detail as we start going through this. So the other thing I always talk about is, or one of the things that you should look at, is posting. So putting up information on LinkedIn. So I've got my buddy Tom here. I was looking at his, and if you kind of look down just below his upper part of his profile, it says, here's some posts by Tom. They display 2 to 3 of these at any time. And this shows your thought leadership, that you can, that you've got something smart to say in the marketplace that you are working in. So you get found that way. So that's a great way to get found. The other thing too is take a look at Tom's post against Andrew and Michelle. He is double the space of them. So when you're looking at the profile, your eye's more drawn in to the ability to have a bigger space. So one thing I would say is that if you're in an industry where there's a lot of competition, you can go into LinkedIn and search not on a person in the competition, but search on the industry or the area or whatever it is, and take a look at how many people are actually writing posts. You'd be shocked at how few people actually write posts to, first of all, one, show that they're smart and know what they're talking about and beating out their competition, and also, two, having a bigger profile being displayed in the results. So, by the way, here's a couple of interesting facts. So if you're posting information once a month, 20 of your contacts will see this. If you're posting 20 times a month, 60% of your contacts will see this. Now, this doesn't have to be necessarily just original content. You can also share information that you find online. Just a bit of a side note there, just on the posting. The fourth problem I find when I go into people's LinkedIn profiles is that their profile literally reads like a resume, and you should not let your profile read like a resume. You should show people what you can do for them. So this point 5 also kind of pulls into that information as well. A lack of a summary, or basically your summary totally sucks. I've gone in and seen people with no summaries or very little information in their actual summary, and It's too bad, because literally if you put no effort in, what you're telling people that come to your site is, I have nothing to say and there's no reason to contact me. So it's horrific that you would leave your summary minimal or even blank. So I'll give you a few tips. Like, this is the time that you shine and show people what you could do for them. Let prospects know what you do. Let them know who you work with, why what you do works, what makes you different from your competition, what others say. So these are testimonials or whatever it is, how what you do works. And then also have a way for people to reach you. So literally what you're doing in here is you're telling people, hey, this is what I do. Here's how I do it. Here's the results you get. Don't trust me. Here's what some other people have said. And that's called social proof. And social proof is phenomenal when it comes to LinkedIn and having referrals. I'll get to that in a second here. And then also, as we go into this is one that I found someone in Calgary or just outside of Calgary who has he had a half decent summary. But one thing that I do when I look at this is, his summary is all about him and not his client, which isn't good. So make it more about the client. His area expertise is great because this stuff gets searched and displayed on LinkedIn in the LinkedIn search results. So he'll get found that way. And then, last but not least, putting client testimonials up. That's good, but he's kind of done it in a bad way. He's forcing people to copy that link and then go out and take a look at it. I would just put words down and then put it into my profile, put someone's referral or recommendation in my profile. So the sixth problem that I see is a lack of way to contact you, or having a lack of a way to contact you on LinkedIn. So there's numerous places where you can put this information. Just as a couple examples here, my first line on LinkedIn has my summary has something that shows people my phone number and also my email address. There's a section in LinkedIn that also has additional information which allows you to put advice for contacting you. And also there's an area in the setup, or at least in your account profile, where you can also put information on how people can reach out and contact you. So without any of this information in your profile, you're forcing people to send you an in-mail if they can, or find some way to get a hold of you. And I'll tell you what, that is really, it's probably just not going to happen, is the way it comes down to. One of the other areas, by the way, that I just missed that I think you could put it in as well is in your expertise section. So considering your most current job, I would put your contact information in there as well. So as I just mentioned, I put my summary, in my summary, the first line, call me at, and there's my phone number, and then my email me at my email address. Now, this is strategic, and the reason why I want to do that is LinkedIn on your mobile profile pulls in that first line in your summary. Now, LinkedIn's mobile platform is it's tough to use. Hopefully they'll fix it up, but trying to find contact information is really tough to get. So my suggestion would be, take that information and put in your first line of your summary how to get a hold of you, and it gets pulled right into your mobile profile. Why is that important? Well, right now, 55%, and this Q3 numbers 2015 was the latest that I could find, was 55% of people access LinkedIn via a mobile device. At the rate that it's increasing, by kind of in the next 2, 3, 4 months, and this is August 2016, kind of by the end of the year, December 2016, that number will probably be closer to 70%, which would mean about 72, 73 million people accessing LinkedIn via a mobile device. So that's just one of the reasons why you want to actually have that sort of information in there as well. The next one I want to talk about is not having a picture on your profile. And so why is this the case? So by not having a picture, 50% of buyers will not even look at your profile. Why is that important? 50% of all B2B buyers go online, specifically on LinkedIn, to find a solution for a problem that they have. So they'll be looking for your product or service. 50% of those people go on. 50% of them will completely avoid your profile if you don't have a complete profile, including a picture. So you need to get an extremely good professional picture in there. Don't put one in with a picture of you and your dog or your cat or water skiing or whatever the heck it is. Make it professional. That's what LinkedIn's all about. So one of the other things is that if people come to your profile, give them a call to action. Tell them to do something. And just as a stat that I found online is a call to action can increase your desired response by up to 37 times compared to not having a call to action. So for example, putting an email address on contact me at this email address, call me here, in your expertise section, saying our company can reduce your, cost by X percent. Call me at to find out more. Put a call to action in. Have a reason for people to call out for you. Tell them what you want them to do. So, for example, in my profile, in my summary, I've got one that talks about, connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's all my contact information. Do you want to have some sales and marketing tips? Sign up at my newsletter right here at this thing. Check out my presentations below and videos for information on how I can help or whatever. Here's a whole bunch of call. I literally, my profile is littered with call to actions in it for people to contact me. Problem number 9 that I found is having minimal information on your profile. And minimal information, when you actually go in, it kind of falls back to that point where it's like, if you don't have a lot of information, you don't have a profile picture, you don't have anything, no one's going to reach out and contact you. And it's a crying shame that, there's a lot of salespeople out there that have a lack of a profile on LinkedIn. And it's an excellent area where, take that time, fill out your profile. Literally 5 minutes a day. Just say 5 minutes a day until I'm finished. I'm going to fill out this profile. It doesn't take long to do it. And LinkedIn's great because they actually show you bits and pieces you should be adding to your profile to beef it up. And ideally what you want to do is in the upper right-hand corner on your profile, there's something that will take you from kind of a beginner all the way up to an all-star. You want to get to that all-star level. And you can get there very quickly just by filling out your profile. Here's something that I find is truly amazing is putting skills in on LinkedIn. So there's skills and endorsements, this section called skills and endorsements. So what you want to do is you want to put skills in. You have the ability to get found up to 10 times greater just by having skills in your profile. Now, what happens is, and I'll tell you why, you could put up to 50 skills in your profile. And I'll give you an example. So the accounts payable software company that I have, I'm looking for people that have QuickBooks experience. And when I search online for bookkeepers or accountants or whoever with QuickBooks experience, oftentimes I won't see anything in their profile, but where I do see it is sitting in their skills section. They'll have something that's QuickBooks in there. So it brings them in to the results that are getting found. So, imagine if you're trying to get found on doing QuickBooks information, you don't have QuickBooks anywhere listed in any of your LinkedIn profile, yet, it's in your skill section. It's going to pull it in and you'll get found that way. Now, by the way, there's over 40,000 skills that LinkedIn have listed that can go into the skills section. My suggestion, if you're stumped, first of all, try to get 50 on there if you can. If you're stumped as to what kind of skills you need, just go look at your competitors' profiles and see what kind of skills they have lined up, or look in the industry and see what's going on and see what kind of skills are in there. You can usually find that sort of stuff that way. Problem number 11. This is one I left to the very end because I think it is absolutely critical and important. Recommendations. So very few people actually have recommendations on LinkedIn. And they're extremely powerful because it is social proof that shows people you know what you're doing. So I give the example of, let's say you have 20 recommendations for the experience that you have on LinkedIn and you got a very decent, robust profile, right? So your competitor has a robust, decent profile, but has 0 recommendations, right? People are going to gravitate more towards you and your recommendation because you have recommendations in your profile. Now, one of the things that I'm going to give you as a tip here is that when you ask people to write a recommendation for you, very rarely will they do it. It's very tough to get people to take time out of their day to do it. Here's a tip that will help you out. Write your own recommendation. Go into LinkedIn. So you go into your profile, just kind of to the kind of right and down below your picture. There's a thing that says view profile as. To the right of that, there's a little arrow. Click on that. It says ask to be recommended. Go in there, type the person's name in, put in your job that you were looking for, what job they were in, how they worked with you, and then send them a message, say, hey, I was hoping you could recommend me on LinkedIn. Here's a recommendation I wrote on your behalf. Do you mind looking at it and letting me know if that will work? If so, then all you have to do is copy paste and recommend me on this one. Thank you very much. And I mean, it's a great way to get recommendations. Now, the other thing too is you can copy these recommendations and use them other places, that you want, so that you can see that people can see what you're doing as well. So here's something, if you want, I've got a LinkedIn profile checklist. There's 41 tips to kind of supercharge your LinkedIn profile. If you want it, go to bit.ly/li_prof. So it's all lowercase in this case, bit.ly/li_prof. And you'll get access to this LinkedIn profile checklist that I pulled together. And it gives you 51 tips to supercharge your LinkedIn profile. So now you've got this killer profile now. You've beefed it up. People are coming in. Now you got to go find people to go after. So one of the things that this whole concept of search on LinkedIn is, when I found this out, it completely changed. It revolutionized how I use LinkedIn. And it was it was like LinkedIn went into turbo drive as soon as I figured this out. And so there's literally only 5 things that you need to know to become a LinkedIn search ninja and turbocharge your searches. And first off, this isn't one you have to know, but this is how you get there. Use the advanced search. So many people use that little search bar up top to look at things, or down the left-hand side. Hit the advanced button. It pulls up the advanced people search. And the first 2 columns, kind of left column, middle column, are available for free members. On the right-hand column, where there's all these little yellow LinkedIn symbols, those are premiums, premium search filters that will actually get your results further refined. Now, while I'm on this talking about premium, one of the things that I would highly recommend about having a premium account is that your search results on LinkedIn are limited to only 100 people if you have a free account. So you only get to see 100 people. I get to see 1,000. Sometimes it's more, but I usually get to see upwards of 1,000 people on LinkedIn. So that's one of the reasons why you probably want a premium account, because there's a lot of ways to leverage a premium account to get things done. So anyways, first thing you need to do is go into the advanced search. Click on it, get the advanced people search. This, using quotes around 2 or more words is what you'll get for an exact phrase. So for example, vice president. By putting quotations around vice president, it will only bring back results that are vice presidents. If you don't have that, it's going to look up vice chairman, vice counsel. It'll look up presidents. It'll bring back a whole bunch of false or a bunch of negative results into your search results. So put quotations around stuff for an exact phrase. Now you start looking at the brackets. This is when you start combining what they call terms and modifiers. Modifiers I'll get to in a sec. There's 3 modifiers on LinkedIn, which is and, or, and not. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to take a look for vice presidents of sales and or marketing. So in this case, I'm looking for someone who's a vice president of sales or vice president of marketing. That's what the kind of the brackets do. It combines that stuff together. So then what we do is we get into these modifiers. So those are the first two search ninja tactics, which is the quotations and then the brackets. The next ones are, the last three are and, or, and not. Now, it's important when you're using these and, ors, and nots, they have to be in uppercase in order for it to work. So the first one is and is when you're searching for two terms that need to be included. And for example, vice president sales and marketing. So in this case, it's going to look up a vice president sales and marketing. So the person has to have that title, for example. The next one is or, which is going to broaden your search. So in this case, I put the quotations around vice presidents to bring it in, or VP, because sometimes people use VP as opposed to vice president when they're putting things in. And then we're going to go sales and marketing. So just to give you an example on this, a while back when I first started creating these slides ages ago in some of my presentations, I was looking at vice president sales and marketing, and I searched on LinkedIn, and I've only brought up 35 results in Calgary. I thought that's odd because there's got to be way more in a city of 1.5 million people than 35 VPs of sales and marketing. So what I did was I put in the modifiers, so or VP sales and marketing, and it brought up almost 2,200. So in this case, if I didn't do this, I would have missed out on like 2,164 potential targets that I could be going after. The last tactic here is the not term. So this is when you're excluding stuff. So for example, I want to see vice presidents of sales, but I don't want vice presidents of marketing, or I don't want vice presidents of sales and marketing. So in this case, I'm just excluding that whole marketing term from, say, that title that I want to go look after. So if you want to see how to use the LinkedIn Advanced Search, what you do, once again, click on that search button up here, put in the relationship. So this is just an example. You toy around with this and play with it because it actually works out pretty decently. In this case, I'm going to look for first or second level connections. I'm going to look in a location, and it's going to be Calgary. If I wanted to add more, I could add different areas in. And then, the other one I'm going to look at is, because I got a premium account, I can look at people in that area in that specific groups. And then last but not least, I'm looking for presidents or owners that are in, first, second level connections in Calgary in this specific group. Now, if I wanted to add more, I could add more parameters in there and search around and firm these results up if I wanted to. Now, in this case, I'm just going to look at second level connections. It brought back 416 second level connections, which are owners or presidents. Now, here's a sales tip for you guys. If you want to connect or reach out with people on LinkedIn and they're part of a group that you're part of, sales reps are up to 70% more likely to get an appointment or a cold connection request accepted if you cite a common LinkedIn group. So you'll better your odds just by doing that. So the benefits of using these search tactics, first of all, by combining these 5 ninja search tactics on LinkedIn, you're going to get way better results than just searching the way that you normally do. And most people with a free account probably just search. They don't use a lot of these tactics and tips. And the unfortunate part is they only get back 100 results. So if you only get back 100 results at any given time, why not make them the best results as humanly possible? Now, a side note again on a premium account is that at some point in the month, LinkedIn will also cut you off from getting results back because they're going to try to get you to move to a premium account. So once again, there's the benefit of having a premium account. So anyways, first one, not wasting the time on the search results that you get. Once you understand this, you spend less time searching for specific people on LinkedIn. And last but not least, these results that come back are better results, better qualified, and better to go after. If you also want to get a tip sheet on this that's going to make it easier for you, just go to Google and search LinkedIn tip sheet and then look up Bullion search tips, LinkedIn Bullion search tips, whatever, something like that, some combination like that on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has a great little cheat sheet that you can download. And there it is down at the bottom. If you can read that, you can also try to type that in and get it that way as well. So the next section we're going to get into is the best way to generate qualified sales leads on LinkedIn or leveraging LinkedIn. So if you looked at the first, or you watched the first segment in this course, I went through some what I call the mind-blowing facts. I'm going to reiterate them again in this one just to kind of hit home. So 11% of salespeople have a formalized sales process. You flip that around, 89% of salespeople do not have a formalized process or have no process whatsoever to get referrals. Now, according to the Word of Mouth Marketing Association, which gave us the last stat and also this one, is 65% of all sales leads are due to word of mouth or through referrals. And so think about this. 11% of salespeople are accessing 65% of the sales that are available out there. Vice versa, 89% of sales reps are going after 35% of sales that are generated typically by other means other than referrals. And on top of it, when you start pulling these numbers together and you take a look at the 11% going after 65% of sales compared to the other sales reps, the group that has a formalized referral process are generating 15 times more sales leads than the other reps that they're up against. Not only that, if you start looking at it as a percentage-wise, they're generating 94% more sales opportunities than their counterparts. So if you're watching this course, if anything they take away from any of this is referrals, referrals, referrals. That's the way to go to generate a lot of sales opportunities. Now, the other thing with referrals is typically they will generate up to 14% more revenue per sale. They also close at double the normal rate. So typical sales close at 25%. Referrals close at 50%, so double the rate. Not only that, they usually will close in up to a quarter of the time that it would normally take. So when you start playing all this stuff together with revenue factors and everything like that, you can generate up to 137 times more revenue just by starting to leverage a referral process. Or you can actually be about 120 times more productive than people that do not leverage a referral process. So I'm a realist. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to fire on all cylinders. You're not going to get 137 times more revenue, although if you can, please let me know because I'd love to hear that. You're not going to get 120 times productivity gain, but I'll tell you what, pretty easy to get 2 times, 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times, 20 times productivity gains just by leveraging referrals and doing some of the stuff that I'm going to show you here today. So I'm going to show you how to get better qualified sales leads from deals that from prospects that close at double the rate in upwards of a quarter of the time, just leveraging all this stuff. So once again, I go back to the fact, leveraging LinkedIn, the world's largest business network online, where you can see who you're connected to and who they're connected to, which means you're going to be able to look at leveraging their connections to get referrals in the door, and it's going to give you success. I've talked about this before. I myself have generated millions of dollars in sales due to leveraging what I'm about to show you on LinkedIn. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this stuff. It works extremely well. And if you're not doing it, you really do need to be doing it because literally 99.9% of the people on LinkedIn are not leveraging this, yet it's generating 15 times more sales leads. It's 50 times more effective than cold calling, and you're going to make more money and put more money in your pockets. This whole process that I'm talking about is something that I've called and deemed the digital referral. Now, I'm going to have a book coming out on this soon, but I also have a course coming up here soon that you'll be able to get access to and get some very special rates and some gimmies that I'm going to hand out as well that you'll learn about in the next email that I'm going to send out. But this whole thing is called the digital referral. And I kind of went into it in a little bit here, but the easiest way to do things, obviously you've learned how to use search tactics to find people on LinkedIn. When you use this advanced search technology, what you can do is bring back specific results for what you're trying to find. Now, in this case, I was looking up vice presidents for sales and marketing in Calgary. I got 114 results. Now, these are all second level connections. Let's just say, for example, I want to reach out to this Gary Leash fellow. I'm not connected to him. One of the ways that I could do it, because I have a premium account, is send him a LinkedIn in-mail. Probably, he may look at it. He may get back to me. He may not. I don't know. Probably not overly effective. And you know what? If I have an opportunity or a way to get in to see him, why wouldn't I leverage that? So what do you do? When you're on their profile, if you click just below the name, it says 16 shared connections. LinkedIn will bring up the top 3 people that it thinks you could leverage to get in to meet this Gary individual, or this individual that you're trying to meet. In this case, I could probably leverage all 3 of these people, Jason, Randy, and Cam, to get an introduction into him. But let's just pretend I don't have a strong enough relationship with these people. You know what? Just below that, if I click there, it says view all 16. What happens is LinkedIn brings up a page that shows all 16 people that I'm connected to that are connected to Gary. And I can go through here and say, is there anyone else that I might be able to leverage to get me into this person right here? And as such, then what I could do is, if I determine who I can get in or get leveraged in to meet this person, I can get in to see them. Now, here is what I would do to do that. I would send my connection an email in order to introduce me to their connection. And here's how I do this. So this one is just kind of a template that you can see. And unfortunately, you can't see it down the bottom, but I'll read it out to you. It says, hello, hope all is well. First of all, I put the person's name in, say, hello, Bob or whatever. Hope all is well. I was hoping you can help me out. I'm taking a new solution to different companies right now. I was hoping that you can help me by making an introduction to this person at this company. You can put something in like, I see you're connected to them on LinkedIn. This solution helps companies like by doing this sort of benefit. Do you know this person well enough to introduce me? If so, here's an introduction you can use. And I give them the subject line, introduction to Chris Hamilton, and then the email body, hello, whatever, in this case it would be Gary. A friend of mine reached out to me to see if I could introduce to you. His name's Chris Hamilton, known him for a while. Chris's company helps reduce costs, increase revenue, whatever it is, with a product or service, whatever it is. He tells me that companies typically see increases in revenues by X% or, reduces cost by X%, whatever that might be. He was hoping to get introduced, and I wanted to check with you first before connecting the two of you. Do you mind if I connect the both of you or the two of you? Regards, and then you put your name in there. You put the person's name in there. And down at the bottom, this is a part that, unfortunately, it's a little cut off, but it says, let me know if you don't mind doing this. I could tell you more about the process or product or service or whatever if you'd like. Now, so first of all, by creating or finding people on LinkedIn that are in your target demographic and finding people that you're connected to, by doing a process like this, instead of reaching out to someone and going, hey, would you please introduce me to this person? The chances of someone doing that is pretty slim, because they have to take time out of their day. They have to think about how they're going to do this. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. It takes too long. You know what? Dumb it down for them. People are busy. Create the email for them and let them send it off to them, and you will get way more acceptance by doing this stuff and get yourself in the door. So, just to show that it works, I'm going to show you my results. I track everything I do when it comes to stuff like this. Literally, I get 35, it depends. It depends on the week, but I'll get 35 to about 42% of the requests that I send out to my first level connections will make that introduction for me. So in this case, I'm going to go with 35%, which is on the low end. Typically, as I say, this can get up to about 50% if I reach out to my connection a second or third time. So what I'm talking about here is that if I reach out to one of my connections and say, can you introduce me to this person? And I don't hear back from them, 30, 60, 90 days later, I'll reach out and say, hey, I asked if you could do this. Don't know if you mind doing this sort of thing. Here's a letter you can use, send it out to them. I'll do that 2 or 3 times. And on the second or third attempt, a lot of times I'll get people to actually do it. And typically it'll go up to approximately 50% introduction rate into these people. And it's not that people won't do it for you. It's just people are busy. You send them an email, it starts to get buried down in their email, in their emails, so they don't see this sort of stuff. And by the way, this brings up a point. If you're going to ask to get referred, try to do it through email. Don't do it through LinkedIn's messaging system, because that's just a hot mess and it doesn't work very well. Email works better in this case on this stuff. So there's kind of get upwards of 50% of those people. Now, here's what I get. I get about 50% of these people that are reached out to into some sort of a call or an email conversation or even into a meeting. And that's a huge uptake on this sort of stuff. And usually the call or the email conversation or even the meeting is, it's because I've made the reach out to my first level connections to get that thing. But it's because of the letter that I put together that shows that I solve a problem or a pain point that someone has. So think very clearly. If you're going to ask for an introduction to somebody, make sure it's well worth the prospect's time. Don't do something nilly-willy or kind of not much substance to it. Make sure that you have a reason why that person wants to connect with you. So when I look at this, just based on that 35% of the first request and 50% going into a call, an email, or a phone conversation, I'm getting about a 17% success rate overall after on the first attempt out the door. So cold calling has a 0.5% success rate, and that comes from a Baylor University report or study that's called "Has Cold Calling Gone Dead?" And they used a bunch of Keller Williams realtor offices in the Southwest United States to look at this stuff or determine that 0.5%. So in this case, my success rate of getting into some form of a conversation, be it email, be it a call, phone call, or a direct meeting, is 34 times greater than the success rate of picking up the phone and smiling and dialing. So just to let you know, I have only had 4 people reach out to me for an introduction in the last 12 months on LinkedIn. 2 of these people are because I basically have begged people to let me introduce them into people. I run a monthly webinar. Lots of my friends and peers and LinkedIn connections have come to this. I've literally said, leverage me. Let me get you in the door. I'm going to tell you one of 3 things. Either I know them, will get you in. I know them, not well enough to get you in the door. Or 3, I don't know them, can't get you in. But literally 0.1% of my total connections. So 99.9% of people on LinkedIn, based on my research here, are not reaching out and leveraging this. This, if you are a salespeople person, is an absolute tactic you need to jump on now to start using and leveraging to get yourself in the door and get more qualified, better qualified meetings with prospects that close at double the rate in upwards of a quarter of the time. This will absolutely take your sales career and skyrocket it. Why does it work? So first of all, the digital referral. As I say, typical sales close at 25%, referrals close at 50%. Referrals are converting at 3 to 5 times better than normal sales. 65% of all new business, according to the Word of Mouth Marketing Association, comes from referrals. Yet only 11% of salespeople ask for referrals. I always say flip it around. Take a look at 89% of salespeople don't ask for referrals, yet referrals are responsible for 65% of all sales and close at 2 to 4 times the average. If you're not leveraging the process like I just laid out to you, you're absolutely crazy, especially if you're in sales. So I'll tell you what, we're coming to the end of this kind of part 2. I'm going to show you a killer tip on how to get LinkedIn to send you sales leads. So in this case, I've looked up new opportunities as a keyword on LinkedIn and in the Calgary area. And it's brought up 4,603 people in Calgary that are looking for new opportunities. Now, what you can do is once you get a search result the way you want it to be, click where it says Save Search. When you save this search, if you have a free account, you can get 3 saved searches. If you have a premium account, you can get 7 saved searches. What you can do is title these saved searches, and then you get LinkedIn to send it to you on a weekly basis. And what LinkedIn does is it will take anything that fits that parameter of that search and send it to you on a weekly basis in an email. Or you can actually go back on LinkedIn and click on any of these little blue numbers that are down here where it says new, and it'll bring those results up for you as well. Now, I'm just going to go back for a sec to this slide with new opportunities and give you kind of a real world example. I was working with a financial firm or giving a presentation to a financial firm in Calgary. And this financial firm typically handles about 70% of all company benefits in the Calgary marketplace. Now, here's the scoop. They have a whole bunch of independent salespeople running around. Calgary right now, we've been hit really hard by the oil and gas, or the price of oil being so low that a lot of people have lost their jobs and they're looking for new opportunities. So in this case, we put quotations around new opportunities, searched in Calgary, and it brings back different results. In this case, it brings back 4,603. I've run this, I've taken a look at it on a weekly basis. There's anywhere between kind of 60 and about 150 new opportunities that come in the door. These people, by the way, if they've lost their job or have been, let go, they have to transition their benefits and their investments within a 30 to 90 day time period. So what I told these guys, I said, this is LinkedIn sending you sales leads on a consistent basis. Now, because of that, these guys can go back in, they can start reaching out to people either they know or through connections that they know to get an opportunity to move their benefits or their insurance package over, and they get paid on that. This is just low-hanging fruit. It's incredible, and so few people actually do this. Now, let's pretend in a different world. Let's take a look at, like, say, VP Sales and Marketing or the VP Sales Western Canada. When new people come into that, hit the profile, and they've started a new job, one of the reasons why this is important is that someone who has started a job within the first 3 months is 10 times more likely to make a product or service change than at most points in time throughout their career. So in the first 3 months, they are the most likely to do it. If you can get in the door and start having that conversation with them, you beat your competition out, and you'll get the opportunity to be able to land a sales with that person. So hopefully all that makes sense. Very high level, but that's how you can get some sales opportunities in LinkedIn. I'm going to show you another one. This is another killer tip. There's certain triggers that create buying action. So not only when someone changes a job, here's another one, maternity leave. So for example, once again, this was wrapped around, it was a presentation that I gave to financial people. But when people go on maternity leave, here's a couple of opportunities. So think about it for a sec. You're a staffing agency and someone's going to go on to maternity leave, right? They need somebody to backfill that position. Here in Canada, you're allowed to take, I think, 2 years off, a year to 2 years off for paternity leave. So if you look at, say, maternity leave, someone has to a company has to backfill a position. They have to keep that position open for that person to come back in up to 2 years from now. And so now the interesting thing about this is that, if you're a recruiter, this is a golden opportunity to find new opportunities for you. Here's another one. I use this in the financial world, is that someone having a baby triggers a whole bunch of purchases. Insurance, they might be looking for a new house, they might be looking for something. It just triggers a whole bunch of different things. So long story short, when it comes to this, think about your industry, think about specific things, see if there's trigger events that you can look at through LinkedIn that are going to give you the opportunity to find the sales opportunities that are sitting right in front of you. And once again, very few people actually do this. So here's what I would do. Let's say I'm in the recruiting business, and I don't know, let's take a look at all these people seem to be recruiters. That's no good. But anyways, let's just do grins and giggles. Let's go Charlotte in the first one here. I'm connected with her with 19 different people. I can click on that and find out who do I know that knows her, Or in this case, I would just look up design group staffing and see if I know anyone in that company, and then reach out to them and say, hey, who does the hiring or temporary hiring for you guys? I see Charlotte, whatever her last name, Molyneux, is on maternity leave. Just wondering if you're going to backfill her position. If so, I'd love to talk to you about an opportunity, how we could get that going. So anyways, long story short, think about trigger events or trigger words or trigger things that happen in your industry that could create opportunities for you on LinkedIn. So we've got through part 1. We've got through part 2. Appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch those 2. In the next and final segment, I'm going to go over a bunch of LinkedIn questions that a lot of people asked me. I sent an email out asking people what was their number one struggle with using LinkedIn and what was their number one struggle with using LinkedIn to generate sales leads. And I got a huge response back on this one. I got tons of questions back on this one. And what I did was I went through and I grouped a whole bunch of these, and I put them into 6 distinct categories, and then each category has several questions in it. So what I'm going to do, a lot of them were common, repetitive questions that keep coming up. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to answer these questions and show specific things. I'm going to show you such things as, how do I use LinkedIn to get sales leads? What are some LinkedIn prospecting tips that I can use? How do I nurture my LinkedIn prospects? And there's way more. I have so many questions that I'm going to answer. And by the time you come out of that, it'll hopefully have answered all the questions that you wanted to know about LinkedIn. And as I say, in my next segment of LinkedIn, I'm going to start getting into an actual special offer that I'm going to be doing on a course that I have coming up called the Digital Referral, which incorporates a lot of this stuff, but takes it so much further and really creates a turnkey process and solution for you to be able to leverage LinkedIn to prospect on a daily basis and crank up your sales. Just as I say, I've been able to use LinkedIn to generate millions of dollars in sales, makes hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions and revenue off this sort of stuff. So I want to show you how to do that sort of stuff. Anyways, as usual, if you have any questions, reach out to me, chris@salestipaday.com. Or if you're in North America, why don't you give me a call, 403-630-1243. That's in North America. It doesn't work outside of North America. So if you're outside of North America, feel free to reach out to me via email and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Look forward to you coming to the next one and learning more on LinkedIn.